Trinidad and Tobago. Don't forget live coverage of day 2 of the test match is on TV6 from this morning, just a few minutes before 10. And don't forget, tomorrow evening we have another town meeting that's going to be at Saith Park in Chaguanas from just around 8 p.m. Let's talk now about the issue of the farmers in Chaguaramas, because last week Planning Minister Dr. Bohendra Tiwari was on this program insisting that the Chaguaramas Development Authority has done everything it could do to engage farmers who are being displaced by development on the peninsula. He contended that as far as he had been advised, the farmers have no legal entitlement to the land, but are still being treated with fairness by the CDA, that's the Chaguaramas Development Authority. The CDA has also insisted that there was no farming taking place on the land, so that bulldozers never destroyed any crops. It didn't take long for the Guave Road farmers who were listening to the interview to call us and say they wanted a chance to respond. Well, joining us now is two farmers who have their chance to respond. Farmers Joseph Richardson, the gentleman closer to me, and Eugene Reynald, who is also with us. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you on the program. First and foremost, I don't know which one of you would like to take this up. The assertion that you have no legal right to the land that is being developed.
Legal right does not come only by written title or deed. There is a legal right you acquire by what is called in law adverse possession.
Which means what?
Which means we've been on those lands for a given period of time, 16 years and 1 day, if the lands are privately owned, or 30 years and 1 day if the lands are owned by the state. We have a record of being on those lands since the late 50s and early 60s, and that record has been recognized by CDA in various respects. This is a letter from CDA in which they took an inventory of all the farmers on the land here, and this is signed by the CDA themselves.
When is that letter dated?
That letter is dated 14th May 1997.
Right.
And they recognize that all of these farmers here, and this is something I will leave with you actually.
Sure. So the 14th May 1997, that's almost 18 years ago.
18 years ago.
But if, for example, the Chaguaramas Development Authority says that they are going to challenge that legally and basically say that they want to use the land now because the adverse possession can be challenged and they want to use the land for development purposes, are they within their rights to do so?
They're within their rights, and we have offered them this. Since last year, we sent the CDA a letter indicating we are prepared to go to mediation, arbitration, or the courts in order to settle this with Senator Danny Solomon, Bo Tiwari, and everybody. We never received a response. We offered to settle this issue in that way, and they rejected it. They never took up that offer. Instead, they sent us a notice. This notice is dated 2013,
right,
and it indicates that
November the 8th, 2013, yes.
2013,
right,
and it indicates that there were farmers on the land at that point in time. The inference, not simply the inference, it actually states and recognizes that there were farmers on the land. And yet, in a newspaper article, this newspaper article of February the 25th, they're denying there were farmers on the land. 25th, 2014, a few months afterwards, they're denying that there were farmers.
Well, just for the purposes of accuracy, because when it comes to a legal thing, they always think they didn't refer to you as farmers on the land, they refer to you as occupiers of these lands.
Occupiers, yes, but occupiers means
you could be squatting bill in a house.
Well, if you're an occupier, you accrue benefits and so on as by way of adverse possession.
Yes.
Even as an occupier, but we were farmers, and they actually saw the need to send that letter to us.
Okay, let me just clarify as well with Mr. Richardson.
Yes.
You are one of the farmers on the land?
That's correct.
How long have you been farming in this land?
Since 1970.
1970, so that's what, 45 years now?
Yeah, and my mother have been there since 1956 to be exact.
Yes.
And there were farmers there since 1951.
Okay.
So that is correct.
All right.
We have proof of that since that time.
And how do you respond to this assertion that the CDA are saying that basically, yes, you have been farming the land and we're willing to discuss a certain issue. Have they been involved in any negotiation with you, or do they just want you all to move off the land? No
negotiation by this CDA board in particular. There were boards before who engaged us And they never did this, what is happening presently here to us with this board that came in about 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because this is a new board. They changed board since this regime came into being.
Yeah.
There were 2 boards here. One where they disbanded when Rocky came into being, right? Rocky was there.
Who's Rocky?
That's Rocky Garcia, who went up against Dr. Keith Rowley.
Yeah.
Right? Rocky engaged us because we know Rocky. It so happened that the board was disbanded, and they took Rocky off the board, Rocky and some other members of the board, and they kept Danny Solomon. Daniel Solomon was there, Daniel Solomon bring in his people, and before you know it, board changed. So that happened, give or take, about 2 years ago.
Right, but what I'm trying to get at is, according to what the minister has said, the CDA has indicated that basically that they are trying to treat fairly with the farmers.
They have never dealt with us, never talked with us. The only communication we had with the CDA was this notice here back in November. And after that was the 23rd of, actually they put up no trespassing signs on the 10th of February 2014. And then on the 23rd of February 2014 is when this happened.
Yeah.
Right? They started chopping down. The chopping started at this time. They chopped down okra field. They chopped down pumpkin. We actually caught them. We caught them. Right? The operations manager was there. There was another one in charge of communication. I think it's Peter Neptune, Hugh Wooding Thomas. These guys were there. We have them with photo and video on the ground doing it. We caught them that morning at a little after 7. They were there with 10 henchmen chopping down our plants. This happened on the 23rd of February 2014. We have the proof of it, and it's there for everybody to see on Wetland Chagaramas. And
when that you're talking about something that happened more than a year ago.
Yeah.
What action did you all take in response to that activity?
We actually took them to court. We took Hugh Thomas, Peter Neptune,
and Hugh Thomas.
Yeah, we took both of them to court because they were the 2 leaders on the ground. Right? They were there with their full estate constable, attachment, and they were the ones we caught that day. Now, it didn't end there. During Carnival time, somewhere around March 6th, they came again.
March 6th this year?
No, actually, yes, correct. We are in 2015?
Yes.
No. We're still in 2014.
This is
2014 again.
Okay, this is okay. All right.
Right?
Yeah.
They came now and destroyed. You can see the structure.
Yeah.
Right. That is one. That's the example of one. But there are several other structures that they destroyed.
Right.
And guess what? After destroying it, they came back 4 days after and pick up everything here, put it on trucks, and think about it. Everything is on the. We photographed and videotaped the entire event and.
The farmers' equipment and all
gone. Equipment gone.
Right.
You understand?
Why, and what? Okay, if you have taken them to court, where is that matter as far as getting redress for this activity?
Well, you know how the court system is in this country. Everything
First
is.
of all, we took them to the magistrate's court because we were looking to recover our losses and expenses and so on here. And the magistrate's court is a long process. We've been told we have to go to the High Court. The police attorneys in the magistrate's court, they refused to handle this. The police have not laid any charges against the farmers, actually. This is from the CDA police.
Yeah.
The same people perpetrating these acts are the people who are laying charges against us, and we have laid charges against them. So now we are taking our matter to the High Court. We expect to have it in the High Court within the next 3 weeks or so. We have all our attorneys working feverishly on this, but we have a whole set of farmers and affidavits. We have 85-year-old, 90-year-old people. We have to get statements from who are actually there.
Well, what I'm trying to understand, Mr. Reynald, what are you all asking for? Compensation if you all have to move, or are you saying you are not going to move and you want to continue farming these lands? What is your position?
We have been advised that we have rights by way of adverse possession to these lands. We have experts, we have aerial photographs.
I understand that, but that's what I'm asking. What do you want? You want compensation or you want the land?
We want the land, and we want compensation for all the damages that we have suffered, all our losses. Because right now the farmer's livelihood is at a standstill.
Okay, so Mr. Richardson, if you were to get full, according to the courts, whatever it determines, let's assume that the courts were to determine a figure compensation for destruction
Damages,
of crops, damage of property, removal of equipment and everything, and that is settled to your satisfaction.
Yes.
You're saying you still want to remain on that land.
But we are on the land. This is wetland. This is wetland 55. This is wetland. The people tend to not pay attention to the land. The land is wetland.
Meaning, okay, you say it's wetland. So you're saying that area should not be developed?
Should not be developed the way they want to develop. They want to put 3 5-level car parks in there. 3 5-level car parks. Look at here. This whole green area is wetland. Good. This is the boardwalk in front of here.
Yes.
And what they want to do is to block the main road on the boardwalk and put 21 buildings, hotel, restaurant, casinos. Good. And they want to develop the whole thing. Look, water park 1, water park 2. They want to go crazy here.
Why would you say go crazy? Some will say that is about development and providing economic opportunities for people in that area and elsewhere in Trinidad and Tobago.
Let us explain something. Keith Rowley, I saw the minister on your program talking about Rowley wanted to put down 4,000 homes. The wetlands area measure approximately 100 acres. To put down 4,000 homes, you are getting approximately 5,000 lots per acre. That calculates at about over 650 acres of land that is required. There's only 100 acres here, about 100 acres. The minister spoke about 4,000 lots Rowley wanted to put on here. That's deception. Now, our point here is that this is a document put out by the EMA.
Yes.
It is written by Julian Kenny. Yes,
Professor?
And Professor Julian Kenny, who's the authority. And in this document, they refer to the Quaysor River. The Quaysor River is this river here that runs along here.
Yes.
And the wetlands of the Quaysor River.
Right.
About protecting these wetlands. Rowley was refused permission to put down what he had planned between 300 and 400 homes here, actually.
Right.
He was refused permission by the EMA to do this. And that was in 2006. This government suddenly gets the EMA to give them approval without doing an EIA to put down all of these developments here.
And so what is to stop them if they've gotten EMA approval?
Well, we have to question the EMA because their document speaks of these lands as wetlands. This is their document.
Yes.
And it speaks, and we have to question. We have been at the EMA on this, and they have been backing up somewhat on this because they did not do, and they waived the need for an environmental impact assessment in order to get all of this nonsense done by Botewari. And they waived that need.
Is this almost a repetition in a different way, but in the same overall sense as the link road? Is it a similar type of where you are suggesting that the authorities are ignoring all of the legitimate studies that would have been done?
It's similar, but down there they did something resembling an environmental impact assessment. In Guave Road, they did nothing. They did not do an environmental impact assessment. There was a meeting held with George Sammy, who did a baseline study, and I was at the meeting. The farmers were blocked out, a public consultation meeting at the convention center. The farmers were blocked by people with big guns from going in. I went in early and I delivered a speech. I have a copy of this here I will leave with you.
Sure.
And in that speech, we raised the point of transportation. That whole Western Main Road is chaotic now. Everybody. The elephant in the room with regard to everything down there is the transportation.
But isn't that just reinforcing why the area needs to develop? Because everybody complains about the traffic into and out of Chagaramas and nobody does anything about it.
There is one road into that place. They have tried in there, and they did a study along the Western Main Road, and they found that the land acquisition issues are complex. So I will leave you a copy, but it's a long subject.
Yeah.
But the basic problem here is that as you develop Chagaramas, you create more traffic along the Western Main Road, and right now there's no way of relieving.
So yes, are you suggesting that because of the geographical challenges, that really you should not be developing Chagaramas in the way that the government is intending?
You should first do a traffic study. No traffic study has been done. Botewari has a private meeting held by way of private invitation in Crown Plaza on Thursday.
Well, I don't know that, and so we can't independently verify that, right?
Well,
so I just want to make that clear.
Well,
right?
okay,
so we don't know that is so.
Okay, well, it's all over the internet. I'll send you a copy.
A lot of things on the internet, but the minister will obviously probably want to respond.
Okay.
But that apart, what I'm trying to get at, gentlemen, is that I think what the public of Trinidad and Tobago, those who are viewing this program, would like to know is, what is the position now as to the action that the CDA appears to be taking, your challenges legally and otherwise? What is the status? Are you all going to in danger of being bulldozed off the land, and the government is going to ride roughshod over the legal restrictions? Mr. Richardson?
They are doing this now. They are doing this now. Look, to refer to Mr. Tiwari's statement about the bulldozer that he saw there.
He said that picture was probably taken a while earlier.
Come on, come on. No, he said that it was something that he saw before. Yeah,
he had seen that picture before, and he produced a story involving Keith Rowley from 2006.
Yes, and that and all was all deception, you know, trying to push Dr. Rowley inside of this.
Are you defenders of the PNM and Dr. Rowley?
No, because I have, listen, we went through the same thing with the PNM, but just that it was not as gruesome, as criminal as this one.
So you would prefer for the PNM to come back in office and deal with your fear?
Well, was there who you supported last election?
I was COP.
I was
right there with the COP. We were with Rocky.
Right.
You understand? So just understand what is taking place here.
Because I'm just trying to understand, because you know how things work in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah,
is there a political imperative to this? Are PNM people pushing you all to continue to make noise?
The thing about it is, look, Stephen Cadiz, you know, Minister Stephen Cadiz, that was my right and left hand at the time of the election, and look what is going on today. Try to get Stephen, even when they were chopping down the cops on the 20th of February, I was talking to Stephen.
Yeah. And okay, so let's understand, Mr. Reynald. From this point, what would you like to see happen as far as this particular situation?
We would like to have this matter settled quickly. I think if it goes to court, it can be settled.
Nothing happens in the court quickly.
Well, no, it can be expedited, because this is an open and shut matter. We have expert evidence. We have aerial photographs showing we were in possession and that we have rights. The law is quite clear on what adverse possession means and what are your requirements and how you need to prove it. We are quite clear on that.
Right.
We have 3 of our people have died within the last year. That's to tell you the age that most of them are approaching. We have all of that. We would like to have this matter resolved in court. It cannot be resolved arbitrarily by both Tiwari and Danny Solomon, and they just cutting down land and leaving the state with a debt that could amount to billions of dollars.
Why would there be a debt amounting to billions of dollars?
When the value, if those lands are taken away from the farmers and they go to court, because the fact that they take the lands away, it doesn't extinguish the rights of the farmers. They can still go to court and claim the land. And if that land is valued at whatever it is, and they have 100 acres of land there, it's going to be a lot of money plus the compensation. And these gentlemen will be out of it, and they will not be charged for even misbehavior in public office. And that's the problem. The state will bear the cost of all of this.
Which means the taxpayer.
The taxpayer.
Which means the citizens will bear the cost. But the government maintains, or at least the minister maintains, the CDA maintains, that they are legally in the right. So will it basically come down to who has the better lawyers in that sense? Who could argue the case more convincingly?
Well, they could argue as much as they can. We have proof. We have documents that they are not privy to at the moment, and when that time comes, and let's argue it there. But I would tell you, if I may add, Fazil,
yes,
while this is going on, the Western Peninsula is being strangled by the development plan that is going on here. We are talking about Water Park 1, Water Park 2, major hotel by Treasure Queen. We are talking about 21 hotel restaurants.
You say being strangled. The government says it's being opened up after being basically out of the reach of citizens for so long.
What Richie means by strangled is the Western Main Road. I don't know if you ever go down to Shadarama.
Every so often, but
we have sat down there, and it takes you 2 hours to come out of...
Which is precisely the point, Mr. Reynald. The thing is that how long is this going to be allowed to continue? Shouldn't there be another road into and out of Chagaramas? Whether it's a causeway offshore or something or the other?
There should be. I am part of a team that presented a proposal for the causeway. We said the lead time on the causeway is going to be about 10 years. At the meeting, you will see it here, where Joycelyn Hargraves told the meeting that their mandate is to develop Chagaramas. The transportation issues and the traffic issues to and from is something that they cannot deal with, and that's not their business. The central government has to deal with that. The master plan, the Sir William Halcrow master plan, which is being presented this week by Dr. Tiwari for the first time, is a master plan that is supposed to address the transportation issues. So they are now looking at these from a design perspective. To get to implementation, the lead time on government projects. To give you an example, that Point 14 highway,
yes,
that had a lead time of about 10 or 15 years.
That's probably even longer than that.
Probably longer.
For a while.
And that is the nature of government project. If you are talking about a parallel road, because they cannot do anything with the Western Main Road.
Yes.
The land acquisition is used to make that into four lanes. You know the problem.
Sure.
They have to go offshore. And an offshore road there, lead time 10 years. By then everybody down there has suffocated.
That's right.
We have about 5 minutes left, but I want to ask you, Mr. Richard, how would you respond, whether it's government people or government stooges or whoever, who will say that you all just want to stand in the way of development, that this is about opening up an area that has been underdeveloped, that will provide employment opportunities, that will provide commercial opportunities, will provide revenue, even for those to get compensation for those lands and so on. How would you respond to those who will say you are just simply standing in the way of development?
Now, is this development where one man or one group of people decide as to the costs of development, hotels, restaurants, casinos for a particular area with one track heading to it? Or is it, shouldn't it be open, you know, where we have people discuss certain issues pertaining to that same development?
Has there been any consultation in relation to this?
I saw Tiwari sit here and said, if it is that what the CDA is lying,
yes,
I want to see him. You know, whenever that time comes when we talk,
the long and short of it is that he has never consulted with any farmers down there. He has not consulted with Richie. I've known him for 40 years. I come out of tap here. Right. And he has never called me or consulted with us and so on. There's just one thing I wanted to make a point of. I think the real problem here is that we are now coming in at supposedly the end of a whole set of transactions that present a fait accompli to us here. We are now, you all are now becoming aware of it. We've known of it. We have 5 Freedom of Information Act inquiries in by Bo Tiwari, and he has not responded to any of them. 6 months ago, all related to Shagaramas. And this is a letter from the Office of the Prime Minister that lays out a policy with regard to how they deal with Freedom of Information Act inquiries. I attach also my response to her. Her response to my Freedom of Information Act inquiry took 110 days to respond. So that tells you what the policy is from the Office of the Prime Minister. Well, our has been
waiting 4 years for a response from the former Finance Minister, Winston Dukaran.
That is an issue we need to deal with because it is lack of information and the secrecy and the lack of accountability of the government that has led to this problem here.
As you say quite correctly, the media might have come like a Johnny-come-lately with this issue because we are in election time and so on. Do you think that because it's an election time, that this is the right time to I wouldn't say take advantage necessarily of the environment, but do you feel that you can leverage this particular time to get the matter expedited?
The government is acting illegally. They are acting illegally with regard to FOIAs. They are not giving us information. They're giving us misinformation. They're misleading the public.
Who is never misleading? Because, as you said, Minister Tiwari was on this program and he said on a couple of occasions, unless the CDA is lying to him, he is. So is it? I mean, that may, as you said, that might be his easy way out. But is it a case that he is, as the Prime Minister often says, is being advised or misadvised or improperly informed, because ultimately I suppose it's the CDA who should have all the facts.
You have to remember that the original board of, I'm just going to be short.
Yeah, we have about 90 seconds, but go ahead.
Right, the original board here had to be fired about 3 years ago. They were fired because of, this is a newspaper report and why they were fired. They were talking about issues with regard to procurement. Now, the only person who survived that firing was Danny Solomon, and a new vice chairman was put in place, to Deborah Costello, who's, I won't go into any details on that. And that was the new board that was put in, sorry, that was the new board that was put in place at that time. Now, The issue, if you read that part there,
yes,
it's referred specifically to procurement issues. Now, all the issues we are having at CDA now is with regard to procurement issues. And the person that survived all of this was Danny Solomon. Does a leopard change its spots?
All right. Gentlemen, we have to leave it there for the one. Thanks very much for coming in to provide us with all this data and another perspective.
I'll give you one set of thing here. I hope you can deal with all of this, you know, because this subject matter has
Bear with me a second. I suspect that we will be following up on this with another follow-up in the not-too-distant future. We have to go to the news, and then we move into the second hour of morning edition on this Tuesday.